Well, hello and welcome to our backyard garden here in the South Carolina upstate. This is episode 2515 in 2025, and it is June 6th. I believe this is D-Day, if I remember correctly. It's a beautiful Friday, sunny sky. It's going to be in the 80s today, and we just finished our front yard garden. We're going to do our backyard garden now, and I've been starting lately with this cleome that is growing up out of the concrete next to our garage, and it has a nice snapdragon next to it. The bigger snapdragon is finished for the year, pretty much finished, but this one has just come up, and in fact just this week it started to open up. We have a few others, and these have all come from seeds. We did not plant any of these. Got another cleome over here. The cleome are kind of strange. They have been really, what do I want to say? They've been easy to grow, and they've grown in large numbers over the last few years. But the usual spots that we get them in have not shown any growth this year. And we're going to see that here in just a moment. Not much to see here. I usually start off with this bed of irises, but they're really not doing anything. They're kind of finished for the year. I do have a couple of canna over here. Ideally, I'd like to just dig those out, but they're doing better than most of our other canna elsewhere. So I want to see if they give us some nice red flowers later on. Down here, we've got daisies that are out. A lot of buds on those, so we'll continue to get some color out of those for the next few weeks. Lots and lots of morning glories over here, growing kind of all over the place. They were nowhere near this what do I say, widespread last year, but they are this year, and we're seeing the vines just going everywhere. Last time I did see some flowers. Today I don't see any. This one has nice little blue flowers, but I don't see any, unfortunately, right now. A lot of this stuff is just weeds, although I do have one cleome, just one, that's growing right here. If you've seen our videos in the past, usually this particular area right in here was kind of a forest of cleome. There is one growing here too amongst the weeds. Don't know why they have not come up so well this year, but it's still early. They may come up a little bit later. We did put mulch on this area, so that may have kind of stunted some of their growth. But down here in our fire pit, where we would rather not have them, they're coming up in large numbers, like all through here. This is all cleome. You'd think, oh, this is all weeds, and it doesn't look so good, but it's actually cleome, and you're starting to see some of them budding and blooming. So I'm just going to leave them. I'm not wild about them sort of taking over our little stone bed here, but I like the color enough that I'm just going to let them go. And then we'll come back over here. Not much to see on this end. This is mostly early spring type stuff. Now here, this is the first time I've seen this poison ivy. We do get some of it here. Fortunately, not a ton, but if you let it go, it will spread very quickly. So I'm going to have to come out and spray that and get that under control, because I'm very allergic to poison ivy. I don't want to deal with that. These big bushes in here are hydrangeas, white ones, a little different than what we have in the front, which are pink and blue. And we're just starting now this week for the first time to see some flower buds. So it'll be probably another month, maybe towards the end of June, maybe the 4th of July, when we start to get these big snowball-sized flowers all up and down these plants. Got a yellow knockout here, just starting to give us some new flowers. They look a little troubled. Something's not quite right. I see on the buds there I'm not sure if it's a parasite or what. They're not opening up like they should. And the plant itself looks like it's doing okay, but the flowers are, I don't know if it's Japanese beetles or something else, but we'll keep an eye on that. And then coming down through here, we have, now this is interesting, it's the first time I've seen this too, aphids, lots and lots of aphids on our oriental lilies. Just that one. And we had that problem earlier in the year with roses, and we put a lot of insecticide on them, and it seemed to get it under control, although once they stopped blooming, it was no longer a problem. In here, I'm just looking to see what we've got. A few more hydrangeas here. These lilies, just doing great. They're still kind of at their high point. Maybe a high point was last week. We've got a few more buds on here, but most of these are starting to fail. Of course, the fact that we had so much rain through the week didn't help anything. And then when our mower came through here, he knocked a few of them off, which I would expect. Down in here, this is all digitalis. These have done very well. They would like more sun. Unfortunately, the hydrangeas have grown so big that they've kind of put most of these smaller plants into the shade, and some of them are doing well, some not. We're still getting a couple little flowers here, but not a whole lot. And there are more tucked in under there. We've got some lilies here. Butterfly bush. This one has not thrived exactly. It's not doing poorly, but it has not grown like the one next to it, which we'll see in a moment. And I think it's just because we've got this tall bank of evergreens and all these other plants around it. It's just not getting a ton of sun right now. But it does have these beautiful bright purple, sort of magenta colored blooms. And this one has kind of peaked. I would say last week was its peak. Kind of starting to fade a little bit, but we should get more of those as the year progresses. And then we're starting to get more of our lilies, just a lot of different ones that we've put in, white, pink, red, you name it, even down here. A lot of them get a little top heavy. And then we have coleus, which doesn't flower, but it does give us these beautiful variegated leaves, and some impatiens, more lilies, even some monarda. Now, we didn't plant these here, but they just kind of grew on their own. The seeds in the front have done very well. We've got knockout rose back here, some other things, clematis and so on, that are just sort of in between phases. And a calla lily, of all things. We did not plant this. It came up from seed. And it's just beautiful, beautiful. We're going to see a lot more of those further along in this video. We have about 10 of those plants right now. Another gorgeous daylily. We have quite a few varieties of daylilies. It's always been one of our specialties. And then these with the ruffles and the pink color. A little bit more of the digitalis here, still blooming for a little while yet. And more daylilies, more impatiens. The impatiens have not really grown a whole lot yet, but they typically take off a little bit later in the year. And then this bright lemon yellow daylily, really, really nice. And our astilbe, we have 3 or 4 different colors of these, the light pink, the dark pink, red, and white, doing very, very well. And they're probably at their peak right now, probably have been now for a couple of weeks. Some of them are finished up, like these. These were bright red, but they're done. So they typically peak for about 3 weeks, each plant. But they're very low maintenance. They do well in shade like this. They give you these beautiful flowers in the spring. And then, of course, here we have some hostas. We have one wisteria back there by the fence. And then black-eyed Susan's growing up here through everything else. And I've lately on these videos, I've been coming down to the water's edge just to look at the pond. We don't really have much other than weeds down here. A lot of algae and seaweed in here. This is kind of the high point of the year for that. But the water is really clear right now. You can see some little fish swimming around, and every once in a while you'll get lucky and see a turtle or frogs. At night you hear a chorus of frogs. It's quite impressive, chirping all night long. And then the only other thing that I do show off here is this water lily. A friend gave it to us, and it's been slowly, I've had it in there for a year or so, and it's been slowly spreading, getting more and more flowers. I'm not sure where that's going to go eventually, but for the time being, it's looking kind of nice. It's nice to have something other than weeds in our little cove there. So as we continue up here, again, azaleas, lamb's ear. These peaked, I think, last week. They might still be peaking in terms of the flowers, these big stalks that they put up. The lamb's ear has done very well here. Normally it's just sort of a ground cover plant, but it does give us flowers for a short time in the spring. Got more daylilies back in here, climbing roses, unfortunately a lot of weeds too, hard to get to. And a lot of the ones we have in this area are really thorny, so you have to use gloves. Also have to be very careful with poison ivy, which we get a lot of back here. Daisies, got some more of these extremely dark, almost black Asiatic lilies. Our knockout rose with the almost blood red flowers on it, already at their second second round. We had a big round in the spring where they were covered with flowers, and now we're back again. This one is very prolific, which is wonderful because it's survived being eaten down to the ground by beavers, and it's come back for another round. Up on the trellis we have a nice mix of climbing roses and jasmine and clematis, but all of those are kind of done for the time being. We're still having the occasional climbing little pink roses on the climbing rose, and it'll give us flowers off and on through the rest of the year, but right now it's taking a break. We've got a few jasmine flowers right here. Most of them are done. A few weeks ago this was just covered with white flowers, but at the moment it's as I say, it's kind of taking a break. One thing that rarely takes a break is this climbing rose. This is about as high as it ever gets, and it always loses its leaves due to black spot by this time of the year. And yet, despite that, it keeps putting out all these beautiful pink flowers, and they're absolutely gorgeous. We have a variation of spiderwort down here. This is the first time I've seen one actually in bloom when I've come down here. And then over in this area, this is a real cottage garden. My wife really likes to talk about that. And we've got Veronica, these spiky purple flowers. Unfortunately, we have a maple tree growing right up in the middle of all that. We need to get that out of there. And then these calla lilies here, both bright orange and bright white. We just put these in a year or two ago, maybe 2 years ago, and they have just spread and done great. Low maintenance, extremely colorful, really unique looking flower. Very, very, it's a very attention-grabbing sort of flower because it's so colorful. In a similar way, we got this little zinnia out here, kind of started growing on its own out by the stones. But then we've got a clematis, a Giacomini clematis that's growing back in here. We've got some other variations, white and purple, still going. Most of them were in the early spring or mid-spring, but we do have some that bloom a little bit later, like right now. Lots and lots of Veronica over in here. Once we get a little further along in the day, if I did this in the afternoon, these things would be just covered with bumblebees. The bumblebees love these. We've got a nice pink rose kind of hidden back there. Little red rose here, little tea roses. Got another calla lily growing up amongst all these daisies. The daisies kind of spread out, and the calla lilies are just sort of engulfed in those right now. But we've got one out here by the front. It's got a nice purple color to it. We've got this butterfly bush that's just starting. This is the first week we've had flowers on this. This one tends to be about a month behind the others that we saw a few minutes ago. But this thing has gotten really big. We're gonna have to, probably next year, probably cut it back a little bit so that it gives us more flowers. Got a lot of zinnias here. These were all put in from seed. My wife grew all these from seed in little coffee cups. She had a seed factory, or a seedling factory, back in the early spring. We haven't really been able to get everything in. We kind of ran out of room because we're one of the problems we have here is a lot of these areas have so many roots in them from trees, and it makes it hard to put anything further in. But I've just been giving away the plants that we have left. Got balloon flowers here. These are doing really well. These all came back from last year and spread quite a bit. We only had a couple of small plants, but they've really done well this year. Beautiful daylily here, with the bright yellow and maroon color. Gladiolus that we just put in this year. Try to show you one of the best ones. These brilliant orange and yellow. This is a color we have not had before, at least I don't remember having it before. And so these are doing well, kind of past their prime. I think last week was their high point. And then up on the fence here, we've got some Virginia creeper. I need to get out here and spray those because I don't want them taking over. They are very aggressive when they get in just the right place. This little vine sticking out here is from our wisteria, which is about 15 feet over that way. This thing has really done well, maybe a little too well sometimes. Got some clematis here. What else? Over here, these, this is a wisteria that hasn't done a lot. It gave us a couple flowers earlier this year. I'd like to get it trained onto the fence, but so far it's kind of struggled to get by. This is, I think this is the third year I've had them. Last year it didn't really look too good, but it seems to be growing and spreading. So I think we'll have some success there finally. Little dahlia there. That one, sometimes it'll do okay, sometimes not. Got what was originally a white knockout. This got eaten down to the ground by local animals, and it has come back on a small scale. Same thing with this one and this one. They also got eaten down to the ground. So they're not doing a whole lot right now, but they're still alive, and they may do better as time goes by. Got a spiderwort here. It's not covered with flowers. You can see where all these seed pods are. They were flowering a few weeks back, but they may be just about done for the year. Got a lot of clematis up on the fence here, and a lot of weeds back in this area. This is our one really weedy part of the yard. Now, I talked about the wisteria, and normally these bloom in late April, early May, but it'll continue to give us some little blooms here and there. Right now I'm seeing at the moment about 5 that are actively out, so it's not completely done for the year. We've got canna up in this area, and there's another wisteria bloom. The canna here are doing better than the canna down here. This area was just sort of a lot of red clay and rocks that we filled this in with. It's not particularly good soil, and unfortunately the plants, even though they're alive, they don't usually thrive. You see a lot of problems on the leaves, and I can't guarantee that there isn't some sort of a parasite, but I think it's mostly a nutritional issue. The green ones, which give us yellow flowers, they tend to do a little bit better, and we will get some flowers out of those a little bit later in the year. One thing I've been talking about here lately are natural wild daylilies have not been doing well. We're getting a few flowers out of them, a few buds rather, but they're not doing a whole lot. The plants themselves look really weak. But meanwhile, these irises doing great. They gave us a ton of yellow flowers earlier in the spring. More daylilies over in here, a few canna that have kind of crept their way in, black-eyed Susans. This is an area that I weeded pretty extensively back in the early spring. We are getting some buds over here, fortunately, so we are going to get some flowers out of these, but at some point we're going to need to get some nutrition, either fertilization or better soil in this area if these are going to do anything moving forward. So again, you can see up on our trellis, it's just completely covered. It took a few years to get to this point, but a few weeks ago it was just covered with red and white and pink flowers, which was quite a sight to see. And we're going to come back up to the house and finish this up. This is probably the best area of our backyard right now at the moment. From right to left, we're looking at these beautiful pink roses, very fragrant, lots and lots of them. And they bloomed once in the early spring and now again. Got some Veronica down here doing well, some phlox here that'll bloom a little bit later in the year, and then a yellow knockout. This one's doing much better than the one over on the other side. Don't know what the difference is. There is a little bit of a parasite issue. I can kind of see some of these flowers are kind of chewed on, but overall this one's putting out a lot of color. Got some gladiolus here, more Veronica down here, and then we get into our daylilies. These are doing extremely well. They do almost every year. They just keep getting bigger and keep putting out more and more flowers. And these dark ones here, roses in the back that are kind of in between phases. Some more lilies here. We got calla lilies here, these really dark purple ones or maroon next to white ones. These have grown in size. I would say these are about 4 times larger than they were when we bought them. Same thing with the yellow ones over here. And then we have bright pink here, and we have a very light pink here. And sometimes they do get bleached out a little bit by the sun. And then the bright orange ones here. Now these were kind of out in the open when we put them in a couple years ago, but the climbing rose has kind of taken over most of this bed and pushed a lot of things off to the side. Got lilies here that are blooming, bright red. Daylilies here, gorgeous purple color with the yellow throat. Peach color. We see a little moth there. Just about every color that they make. We've tried to get a lot of different varieties. A lot of these we got either on online at various nurseries, but really the majority of the unusual ones that we have we got at a local daylily farm here in the Greenville area about 3 or 4 years ago. And most of them have done well. All of them were pretty small because they're hybrids, but they have grown. Most of them are doing great right now. Got a coreopsis here. Just about finished. This will probably be the last week that we have flowers on that, the bright yellow flowers. And we'll continue to get more of these lilies over the next few weeks. And that's about it. So things are going well. We've made a nice transition into early summer. Hope you enjoyed the tour, and hope it's sunny wherever you are. And until next time, happy gardening.